A Whangarei man is calling on people with Celtic background to ditch Halloween in October and celebrate spring as their ancestors did. Doug Chowns is an artist who is something of an expert in all things Gaelic, and he's been staging a one-man May Day fest today outside the City Library. Lois Williams paid a visit to see what he's on about.
Decked out with a flowery hat and a squeeze box, Doug Chowns is having himself a fine old Beltane, the old name for May Day. Well, he would be if the library goers would just dance a bit more, but he's giving it his best shot. Dougie, as he calls himself, is perched on a stool under one of the carved po outside the library. They represent all the cultures that settled in Whangarei, but this one's the Celtic po, and she has a name, the young tree of life.
Becca Og, the young tree of life. So you never pass her without acknowledging her or walking round her. If you feel rotten, walk round clockwise, sunwise, and you'll heal yourself. So it's very, very old tradition going back thousands and thousands of years.
Doug Chowns says that's the origin of the maypole dance and the joyous anticipation of summer. But the po, carved under his supervision by children more than a decade ago, goes unadorned and uncelebrated. Children these days don't welcome spring with music and dance and flowers. They're out prowling the streets dressed as ghouls and zombies. Doug Chowns says ghouls and ghosties have their place, but they're not creatures of spring.
No, Halloween is good, but...
But we should have it when?
Well, we should have it on the 1st of May.
Oh, so we're all back to front.
We're back to front.
Doug says in Celtic cultures, the ceremonial fires of Beltane mark the end of winter and the return of the light and the coming of the growing season.
So they made 2 big fires and they drove all their cattle between the fires to cleanse them, and all the people passed between 2 fires.
And they also performed some interesting fertility rites, not that Mr Chowns is campaigning to revive those. But he'd love to see New Zealand children given a chance to celebrate spring as they do to this day in Cornwall.
On May Day, they go through all the houses, holding hands in a long line to that tune. Literally hundreds and hundreds of children who celebrate these things throughout Cornwall.
And do they demand sweets when they do that?
No, the sweets thing, the trick and treat, is American.
Onlooker Mike Cameron was one who gamely had a crack at the po dance today. He says he'd be happy to see a bit less American and a bit more Celtic culture in the town.
Yeah, why not? Bring it all back, more cultural things the better. It's a bit different, and there's, more Celts and Scots and people that are here, I suppose, and the Americanised thing, I don't know, I just never have celebrated Halloween or a chance for kids to get lollies, that's about it, yeah.
And Wayne Lawrenson, another Dougie supporter, says floral dancing would be a lot more spring-like than tiny ghosts and vampires.
Would be much nicer, but I don't think the warehouse would like it very much because they would lose money out of it.
Sell fake flowers.
Well, you could make those bonnets like Dougie's wearing, and so people would walk around with hats with flowers on, sort of almost hippie.
Dougie Chowns says he'd be happy just to see Whangarei's Celtic po touched, talked to, walked around clockwise and simply remembered, especially at Aotearoa's Beltane, the 1st of November. For Checkpoint, Lois Williams.